video, we are going to be doing a book roundup of 2022. Now, I have just gotten my Goodreads books of the year, or my 2022 wrap up. So, I am going to be going through every single book that I read this year. So, without further ado, let's get started. Now, I'm going to move over to this side because on this side I'm going to put the books up, the ones that I read online, and then I'm also going to be holding the books up on this side. Anyway, so the first book that I read was Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. Now, this is the first book in her Last Hours series, which I'm not sure when it started, but it's basically the sequel of the prequel of the Mortal Instruments. So if you know the Mortal Instruments, you know that there's a prequel, that's the Infernal Devices, and then there's a sequel to the Infernal Devices, which is The Last Hours. So that's the first book that I read, Chain of Gold. The second book that I read was Chain of Iron, the second book in that series. This series was pretty good. There's a lot of characters though, which was really hard to keep up with, but it definitely did help that I read the Infernal Devices first. Now, the third book of that series is coming out in January of 2023, so I'm super excited to read that next year. I will probably order the full physical book set for that when it comes out. Now, moving on, the next book that I read was Pride and Prejudice, and I have the book right here. Now, we studied Pride and Prejudice at school, so of course we had to read it, but it's such a great book. Honestly, I would have read it either way. And then of course the film with Keira Knightley is incredible as well. I think there's also a TV show, but I kind of forgotten already. But yeah. If you don't know, Pride and Prejudice is by Jane Austen, and it follows the Bennets, specifically the character of Elizabeth Bennet, as each of the daughters find their way in the world. Most of them get married. There are some good characters and some not so great characters. The next book that I read was The Pain My Mother, Sir Tiffy and Cyberboy. That's a bit of a mouthful. Now, this book wasn't amazing or anything. There wasn't really a plot line of any sort. It was very kind of ordinary life kind of thing. It was fiction. But honestly, I didn't love it. But it was kind of a nice book to, I guess, unwind to. The next book that I read was Halo and Hades from the Halo series. It's the first two books of the series. I have to say, I did not love the series at all. I didn't even read the third book. It was just not my thing. The kind of the romance was set up like too early, and it just wasn't developed well in any way. So I was not a fan. But to be fair, this series is the first series for that author that they ever wrote, and they wrote it when they were a teenager. So let's cut some slack for them. Anyway, moving on, I read Song of Achilles. Now, I talked about this in my last book haul and like update. Song of Achilles, I read my friend's copy of it, so I don't have it with me anymore. But it was really good. I really loved it. I do think though you have to have a little bit of general knowledge about Greek mythology. Otherwise, it's a great book. Nothing else to say about that. next book that I read was a child's classic, Pinocchio. I also talked about this in my last reading update, because that was around, reading these books were around the time where I was doing that update. Now this year has really been my sort of transitioning period from ebooks to physical books, because I've been getting more into ASMR kind of thing. I've been getting more and more physical books because they just look nicer, and they feel nicer, and they sound nicer, and they're cooler. So and these ones, there's Pinocchio, there's like pictures. That's really cool. Alright, moving on. The next thing that I read was the Selection series by Kira Cass. Now, I read the first 3 books, which is actually pretty sufficient if you want to read the series, because the first 3 books follow the main character, America, and it pretty much ends at the 3rd book. It's pretty, general, not too bad. The 4th, 5th, and 6th book, they follow America's daughter, so you don't actually have to read them, because it has a pretty good ending at the 3rd book. So I read until the 3rd book. It was pretty good. I think the first book was my favourite. The rest of it was kind of so-so. It's sort of like a version of The Bachelor, but slightly better because it's in book form and because it's a prince. But other than that, it's kind of like a version of The Bachelor. So that's that. The next thing that I read was City of Bones, which is the first book in the Mortal Instruments series of Cassandra Clare, which I talked about just a bit later. Well, not later, I talked about earlier. And this was just not... I finished it, but it just wasn't really my thing. It wasn't my favourite thing ever. And my friends were like, oh, you'll get into it. The series starts off kind of slow. Like a lot of series do, even Inferns of Isis by Cassandra Clare, which I really loved. The first book started off a bit slow, but this, I read a bit of the second book as well. I just couldn't finish it, so I've kind of given up on that series. But I'm still going to be reading the Lost Hours series by Cassandra Clare. Anyway, next up we have Where the Courthouse Sing. Now, I read this because Taylor Swift wrote Carolina for Where the Courthouse Sings, the movie. So that's why I decided to buy the book and read it before the movie came out. So I finished this, I think, a couple of days before the movie came out, and then I went to watch it that weekend. And honestly, it's really, really great. I think this was my last book haul. I hadn't read it yet. Now that I've read it, it's really great, and there are so many plot twists in this. It's absolutely insane. Especially the ending. The ending was really great. And I really like how in this book they set up her childhood really, really well. They set up her childhood in order to understand, what she has done with her adult life. I do kisses and everything, but it's just not done as well in the movie because, you know, because of lack of time available in a movie, so they just didn't do it as well. But other than that, yeah, the book is definitely better, so read the book, guys. Alright, next up we have a classic, Harry Potter. I never read Harry Potter as a kid. I don't know why. Everyone was like obsessed with Harry Potter when I was in like year 5 or 6, but I just never read it. Because I was like, well, if everyone's reading it, then I don't want to read it. I want to be different. But now I am reading it because one of my friends was like, you have to read it, and I was like, I was putting it off for a bit, but I finally bought the first book, and this is the 25-year edition, so 25 years later, it's in my hands. Now, it was actually pretty good. It wasn't my favourite, but yeah, apparently it But yeah, it's pretty good. I actually enjoyed it a lot. It was really nice to kind of wind down to it, because it's kind of these just like stories in this like magical world, which was really cool. And I did the Harry Potter quiz, and I'm a Gryffindor, so yay. Alright, moving on. Another one of my favourite books that I read this year, Normal People by Sally Rooney. Now, this was really great. I think it captured, I guess, the thoughts and the speaking and everything just so well of the characters, and the intimacy between the two characters. I'm sorry, what are their names? Connell and Marianne. The intimacy between Connell and Marianne and their connection is just so well done in this book. And it also, straight after I read this, I watched the mini-series. Not mini-series, it's a series, but it's only like one season because it's only covered this one book. But I watched the mini-series, and it's really good. It also has Daisy Edgar-Jones, and it also has Paul Mescal, who plays Connell. It's just so good, and it's just so well done. It's such a simple plot, but it's also just really realistic. I have to say though, it doesn't have quotation marks around the like speaking or anything, so some people do find that annoying, but I personally found that really like smart, because it actually like made you read everything between the lines, even like the characters' thoughts and everything, which made it so much more personal. So that's that. And then this was kind of like my getting around to reading everything that was supposed to be read before kind of year. So of course I had to also read It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Now, it's been hyped up a lot on TikTok. Well, it was hyped up a lot, and I also think in the second book, It Starts With Us or something, also came out. But to be honest, I wasn't the biggest fan. I thought it was okay, but it wasn't my favourite thing ever. I will say the ending is quite nice, but the beginning just wasn't was never able to get through Anne Frank because they're all just diary entries, and I just don't enjoy reading them. So I found it really hard to kind of connect with Atlas because of that. Because I just got bored reading letters, and I would just skip over them every single time. I guess, which is also the reason why I read this book so incredibly quickly. But yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It's not a bad book, and I can see why people like it. But I have to say, it's my favourite book ever. Alright, so the next book that I read was Milk and Honey by Rapi Kaur. Now, on the back it says, "This is the journey of surviving through poetry. This is the blood, sweat, tears of 21 years. This is my heart in your hands. This is the hurting, the loving, the breaking, the healing." Now, I totally understand where this book is coming from. It is a poetry book, but it also has images in it. Like this. So, it's not too bad, I have to say. I like the ideas, and I think the ideas are very relatable, and it's, you know, it's nice how it touches on, you know, the hurting, the loving, the breaking, the healing, the whole process, right? But I do think that, one, it's a little bit repetitive, especially towards the end, and two, it's not really poetry. There's no describing in any sort, there's no rhyming. I get it's free verse, but the vocabulary is just normal speaking, and it's kind of like always chopped up into lines like that kind of have no meaning. So it's like, "You are in the habit," line, "of codepending," line, "on people too," line, "make up for what," line, "you think you lack." Next stanza, "who tricked you," line, "into believing," line, "another person," line, "was meant to complete you," line, "when the most they can do is compliment." So I feel like the line breaks are put in like random places for just for the sake of putting in lines. There's no really dramatic effect or any real technique in it. So, ideas good, execution not so much. But again, this is the first book for this author, so I hope that they come out with better books, or at least improved. Alright, moving on, we have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Now, I've heard so many people talking about this, and no one has ever not liked the book. So I was like, okay, I have to read it, right? So I read it, and I agree, it's really hard to not like. I didn't love it because the beginning was kind of slow, like a tiny bit slow. But other than that, I think it was done really well. It was presented really well. The facts were done really well, and anticipated book. I've been wanting to read this since like last year and I just never got around to reading it, and that is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Now this is a classic, an absolute classic. It's been a classic for so many years. It is from the modernist era. This is what it says on the back. So we beat on boats against the current. Home, back. Oh wait. Bone, home. What does that say? I have no clue what this is. Bone, back, ceaselessly into the past. So, here's my thoughts on it. Now, I think this is a great book, and it definitely deserves to be a classic. I think it has some really, really great lessons, and the language is beautiful, and everything like that. But I think the plot is weird. I have to admit it, I think the plot is really, really strange. It is a modernist era book, so that's probably why. But I do think the plot is really, really strange. Because it's pretty much just an immature man chasing after a girl that he loved a really, really long time ago, and this girl is like married now. And it's just kind of weird. And then it just ends tragically, and it's just not really fun. I had to get it in hardcover because just look how pretty it is. And then honestly, like, I didn't even know if it was gonna be good, but I was like, I think this is gonna be good anyway. So I got it because I just assumed that it would be good. So yeah, this book is just really, really great. I would totally recommend it to anyone trying to get into classics. I think this is pretty like nice classics to start with. I mean, of course you have like the easy classics like Black Beauty and Pinocchio that I read earlier, but if you want to try and get into more advanced classics, I think this is a great one to start with. It's also really, really short. It's like less than 200 pages long, so you can totally finish it in no time. It's also, as someone who reads by chapters, it's only 9 chapters, so that means you can finish it in 9 days, which